Our top story at this moment: 2 days after the horrific Dhaka terror attack, Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina paid tribute to all those who lost their lives in the carnage. Hasina was accompanied by her top ministers at the Army Stadium in Dhaka, where a wreath-laying ceremony took place. Tributes have been pouring in from across the world, and locals took to the streets for a candlelight vigil in Dhaka. On Sunday evening, immortal remains of the victims will be handed over to respective countries, and the remains of Tarushi Jain, the 19-year-old Indian killed in the attack, will be handed over to the Indian authorities. Tarushi's parents will also be in Bangladesh for the wreath-laying ceremony. Her remains will be flown to Delhi along with her parents today. Her family will then take the body to Gurgaon, where the last rites are expected.
A somber mood this Monday morning here in Dhaka as Bangladesh mourns the loss of lives in those horrific Friday hostage siege. At the state ceremony that was held here, right behind me, you can see the Indian High Commissioner Harsh Sringla still in attendance. Of course, there are government cabinet ministers, senior faces. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was here as well. She laid a wreath in memory of those who lost their lives. There are symbolic coffins up on the dais. As you can see, the banner that reads, "The people of Bangladesh deeply mourn for the victims of Holy Artisan Bakery tragedy." There are the envoys of other nations as well. The diplomatic community has been in attendance in various galleries, of course, in this army stadium. But remember, there were Japanese and Italians in particular who lost their lives, who were brutally killed. Common people too have also now streamed in. There were security checks, there were tighter security checks. Once the Prime Minister has left, you can see people with those wreaths in hands, those flower bouquets in hands, who are here at the stadium. If I can just try and ask one gentleman, आप हिंदी बोल पाते हैं?
I may speak English.
English.
Yeah,
Tell me, you've come here today. Yeah. Do you think Bangladesh will be stronger after the attacks, or is Bangladesh afraid?
Bangladesh's strength will be strong and strong because we sacrificed a lot of lives.
Right.
Bangladesh is not like that. Bangladesh is a country of friend. Bangladesh is a people of common people. Common people doesn't think like that. It's extremism. Fundamentalists should not still live in Bangladesh.
What do you think, sir? Bangladesh ki, our people, is there extremism that is increasing? Bangladesh?
Bangladesh peaceful country. Bangladesh terrorist no tolerate.
Okay, so that's the voice of the common man on the street who say that there is zero tolerance for terrorism on the streets of Bangladesh, but the government will have to ensure that their intelligence networks are sharpened up, because I have come across people who just fear that this might just be an ominous start of a pattern here that we have seen globally as well. Here at the Army Stadium, attending this funeral ceremony in honor of the dead and of those lives lost, young and old. With video journalist Kripal Singh in Dhaka, this is Smita Sharma for India Today.
Now, even as Bangladesh reels under the carnage executed by 6 terrorists, a Bangladeshi minister has claimed that Pakistan links have been emerged to the Dhaka attack. Before that, let's quickly play out a reaction from noted author of Bangladeshi origin, Taslima Nasreen.
Many Bangladeshi people actually were silent when atheists and secular bloggers and writers were hacked to death, and government, instead of taking any action against the Islamic fundamentalists or Islamic terrorists who killed all those bloggers, took action against the secular bloggers. Secular bloggers were arrested, imprisoned, and now out of fear, many secular atheist bloggers left the country.
As we told you, even as Bangladesh reels under the carnage executed by 6 terrorists, a Bangladeshi minister has claimed that Pakistan links have emerged to the Dhaka attack. Bangladesh INB Minister Hasanul Haq, in a conversation with the India Today, pointed fingers at Pakistan for a ghastly terror strike. He said that Pak government and ISI network is backing arms networks and terror groups in Bangladesh.
8 from 8.
Is for the last 7 years, the recent times when a few diplomats were thrown out of the country because of direct proof of link with the terrorist networks of financing and supplying arms. So I directly blame that the Pakistanis are poking their nose inside Bangladesh and that is out of the diplomatic manners and values.
An Indian intelligence assessment says that Jamaatul Mujahideen Bangladesh may carry out more attacks in Dhaka. Intelligence assessment believes that many pro-ISIS groups are active in Indo-Bangladesh border and arms training camps still active in some areas, which is a cause of concern for India as well. So now, 3 days after Bangladesh capital Dhaka was reeling under the terror attack, and it's still recuperating from that particular attack, still trying to get back on its feet as far as that attack is concerned. Now, latest concern here by the Indian agencies that there could be a possibility where pro-ISIS groups are active on the Indo-Bangladesh border and they could carry out more attacks in Dhaka. Kamaljeet Sandhu is on the phone line with us. Kamaljeet, how likely is that these groups could also unite against India?
Well, there seems to be a real and probable threat. Remember, Indian intelligence agencies have been keeping a watch and an eye on developments in Dhaka. Some of the signs are extremely worrying because Hindu priests, bloggers, writers, people, gay right activists, they've been targeted so far. But there is a real threat that perhaps there could be a spillover since there are porous borders that India shares with Bangladesh. At least 5 of the states share a 4,098-kilometer border along with Bangladesh. There could be infiltration of any type, and we know that JMB has also had a module in Malda. Remember, the NIA is already investigating that particular case. They also traveled to Bangladesh to investigate the case. But yes, the threat is highly probable, and that is why intelligence agencies have now made an assessment. But remember, this particular assessment is more about training camps within the Indo-Bangladesh border itself, where they have their arms training camps there. But definitely there is a real threat, and that is why even as far as MHA itself is concerned, they set up a target of 2018 to seal the borders along with Bangladesh. They also want to know that if there is fencing, if there can be additional surveillance, as we've seen in the western borders, including infrared, including the laser beams. All these are measures which are going to be put in place. But remember, the states need to cooperate. But at this point of time, all eyes on what developments are really happening. The threat from AQIS and even the ISIS or the local module of the JMB could be a real threat.
All right. Kamaljeet Sandhu, many thanks for joining us with all the latest on this latest threat. Let's quickly go across to Smita Sharma also. Smita, it's a known fact. We've been reporting in the past also that there is a group which is operating along the Indo-Bangladesh border, which is a huge threat to the security of both the countries, both Bangladesh and India. Now, fresh intelligence has now emerged that this group is still active. How big a concern now is this going to be for both Bangladesh and India? And a follow-up question, how are these two countries now going to work in the backdrop of that terror attack on Friday?
You know, there is already a high counterintelligence sharing that does happen between India and Bangladesh. Actually, if you look at the neighborhood, Bangladesh is compared to be at least one of the more stable neighbors ever since the Awami League government came into power here in Dhaka, Sanket. And, you know, the border, of course, has been a headache for India, more so for narcotics, for drug dealing, or even for fake note currency finding its way into India, human smuggling too at times. But the government had over the years really cracked down upon the terror camps that were operating within Bangladesh as well as on the border here. This attack again sort of drives home the point that obviously they have not been completely eliminated, like is the case with most terror organizations, where to root them out completely is quite difficult. Even when you root them out, they try and take form with some another name, with some another face as well. So if you remember, in the last few months, in fact, Bangladesh had expressed apprehensions that there were certain explosions that had happened, and in Malda and West Bengal there were conspiracies being hatched actually to try and destabilize or assassinate Sheikh Hasina. So NSA Ajit Doval had also been, of course, making frequent trips, and the Home Ministry counterparts have been in touch as well.
Okay, Smita Sharma, many thanks for joining us at this moment. We are getting some breaking news coming in. The Ministry of Home Affairs has set a target of 2018 to seal Indian borders with Bangladesh. Sources in the Home Ministry say they've set a target of 2018 for all the 5 states who share border with Bangladesh, which includes West Bengal, Assam, Mizoram, Tripura and Meghalaya. Sources have also added that security deployment has already been beefed up at the borders. Areas like river lines and other zones which cannot be fenced will have laser beams, infrared and other surveillance equipment to boost border security. So that's an immediate fallout at this moment. Kamaljit, in the past also we have seen that this has been a huge cause of concern for the Indian security establishment. But practically speaking, is it possible to build a border which is so tightly guarded that we'll be assured that absolutely nothing wrong is going to happen from that particular border?
Sanket, you're absolutely right. The India-Bangladesh border actually is something like 4,096 kilometers long. It's the 5th largest land border in the world. So obviously there is a major concern that there could be, and this has always been porous, so that is why whether it's Assam and even during the elections, the assembly elections, this was a huge point as well. But remember, there has been a lot of effort by the MHA and generally with the inputs coming in that this is a border security which needs to be actually extremely tight and needs to be sealed. And that is why now there are furious attempts, and we already know that the MHA has taken meetings along with states like West Bengal regarding Tripura, Mizoram, states like Meghalaya as well as Assam are really left. The DGBSF, we've been told, will be submitting its report on the Assam border itself. But remember, considering what has happened in Dhaka, the threat seems real and imminent. A high alert has already been sounded on the Indo-Bangladesh border. But this is something which has been a work in progress. This is nothing to do with what has happened in Dhaka. But yes, they will keep it in the back of the mind that perhaps as far as elements like these, extremism has been on the rise. There could be a spillover to India, and that is why more efforts need to be put in as far as the Indo-Bangladesh border itself is concerned.